Hello and welcome back to my channel and my newest video. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial for a card that I made for my parents because it was their wedding anniversary. For this card I used two new Mama Elephant stamp sets, Tandem Rite and Tandem Extras, as well as my first ABC stamp set by Lawn Fawn, and I think it was Claire's ABCs. I stamped the tandem as well as some critters and the balloon using Ranger Archival Jet Black ink. And at first I stamped them on some scrap paper because it was a new set, and sometimes with new stamps you won't get a clear impression right away. So that's what I did here, and then I stamped my images onto watercolor cardstock. I used the Ranger Archival ink because it is a waterproof ink, and I wanted to color in my images using the Zig Clean Color Real brush pens, and that's why I wasn't able to use the Memento black ink, which I usually use. Here I started coloring in the raccoon, and as you can see I put the marker numbers in the upper left corner so you know which colors I used to color in my images. And I started putting down the darkest color first, and then I went in with the lightest color, trying to blend out the colors or blend them together. For the ears I used 71 and 28, which I actually changed later on because you couldn't really see the difference between the colors. I didn't include coloring in the little fox because my head was completely in the way, but I put the colors down in the info box. And I colored in the little mice using 72 and 60, which is a color combination that Nicole McGurk used in one of her videos, and I really wanted to try it out. And last but not least, I colored in two of the balloons using 20 and 29. I actually made a little mistake at the end, but the good thing with the Zig Clean Color Real brush pen is that you can just take a bit of water to lighten up the ink and a paper towel to dab it off. And for the cheeks I used 28 and 26, which is actually also what I then used to recolor the ears. For the background of my card I used watercolor cardstock, and I wanted to use my distress inks. So I used Salty Ocean and Blue Lagoon because I thought they would be somewhat different in color, but as you can see in a minute, there's not much of a difference. So I started with Salty Ocean and then went in with Blue Lagoon, and I think at this point you can clearly see that the difference is not that large, but that was fine by me, so I went with it. And I actually tried not to smooth the color out that much because I wanted it to be a sky background, and it somewhat looked like clouds to me. Off camera I went ahead and cut out a frame which had a larger border at the bottom because that's where I wanted to stamp my sentiment. But before I stamped the sentiment, I spritzed my background panel with a little bit of water using my mini mister, and then used my heating tool to dry it. As a sentiment I wanted to use the German phrase Glückwunsch zum Hochzeitstag, which basically means best wishes to your wedding anniversary. And because I didn't have a stamp like that, I just used Claire's ABCs by Lawn Fawn to make my own sentiment. I started off with the largest word Hochzeitstag and stamped it at the bottom of the frame using Blue Lagoon dye ink by Ranger, and then went ahead and stamped the other two words, but for the first word actually I didn't use the ABCs stamp set, but I used the phrase Glückwunsch, which was actually a stamp by Create a Smile. I then went ahead and adhered my sky background panel onto a white card base, and using foam tape I also adhered my white frame to the background panel, and I had to use 2 layers of foam tape because my foam tape is really thin, but it still worked out fine. I also put foam tape on all of my images, but I didn't include that in the video because it would be so boring. But here you can see that I start to adhere all of my images to the background piece, and also sometimes to the front frame. And at the end I thought about putting down some of my DIY enamel dots. And I first wanted to include different colors, but then I decided I only wanted to include the sky blue ones, which I then adhered using glossy accents to only the background panel. So I didn't include them on the left and right side of the sentiment. So this is finishing up my card. I hope you liked it, and we'll see each other next time. Bye bye!